Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock on Tuesday. It's the first week of Emerge, and this is our first live mentoring session. So welcome. It's a little bit of a test. This is the first time I'm using Mighty Networks for a group, and this is the first time I'm doing Zoom to then end up inside the Mighty Networks group. So after I finish this live, it's being recorded right now, and it'll be uploaded into the group. And then if there's any glitches or anything that I need to do differently next time, I'll sort it out from there. So yeah, feel free to give me any feedback around sound or visuals or anything like that that you're noticing from your side as a listener, as a group participant. That'd be really helpful. So thank you. And thanks for being patient, being the first group to come through and use Mighty Networks with me. I've used Mighty Networks a few times as a participant in other people's groups, which is where I first came across it and fell in love with it, actually, as an alternative to being on Facebook. I'm in two quite specific groups on Mighty Networks, and it means that I just go there when I want to tune into that content and that group and don't get distracted by all the other things that go on social media. So that's why I chose it for the Emerge group, and for what will eventually become a whole community, is to just start to, I guess, leave the power of social media and make it work the way we want to make it work, or I want to make it work, and then whoever else wants to make it work that way can come and join. So that's what's going on there. So you would have got your pre-work email after you signed up, and maybe you've had time to tune into some of those prompts in the email, some journaling questions, the Finding Joe documentary. And if not, don't panic. It doesn't mean you can't participate today. It's just some work to start the process, and you can get to that anytime. So for the first session today, it's really obvious to me that the most important piece to cover first day is embodiment. And for me, just admitting someone into the room. And opening the chat window. Okay. Awesome. Changing the view. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so yes, I just started by saying that on the first, for me, it's really obvious, on the first session of the very first day of this 10-week transformational journey that we're going on together, the most important thing to cover for me at a base level is embodiment. And it's been something that's been, I guess, overlooked in a lot of personal growth work and journeys, is because it can get kind of more interesting to go into the mind and to understand concepts, or to have physical experiences, you know, that kind of take you into expanded states in the body and be sort of up and out of the body. It's also where anxiety can take us, is out of the body. So for me, the pathway to true self-empowerment, not the kind of fake kind that's full of affirmations and, you know, rah rah, but the really deeply connected, authentic feeling of self-empowerment. For me, that starts with embodiment. It's like the absolute baseline foundation practice for anything that comes next is deep embodiment. Anything that we're experiencing or information we're trying to take in and we're not embodied, it doesn't land. It doesn't integrate. It doesn't become part of the whole. It becomes experiences and concepts and ideas and things that we can talk about that we did or that we experienced. But it doesn't really fully land on a cellular level unless we're in our bodies. There can be a Okay, and we're back. I've just changed the Wi-Fi over so that shouldn't happen again. What I was about to say is that if these head concepts or experiences or expansions that we can have in workshops or groups or other bodies of work, there can almost be a flavor of disassociation in them if we're not in the body, if we're not grounded and present and know where we are and who we are while we're having these experiences. And for me, that's foundational. I used to work with this practitioner in Double Bay in Sydney, and he had a multitude of skill sets. He was a chiropractor and a herbalist and acupuncture and neuro-emotional technique, NET, chiropractor. He had a whole bunch of modalities. And so I found it really interesting to go to him from a physical perspective when I was working on stuff that was happening in my body. And we got talking one day about the nervous system. And at that time, I had a wellness centre in Paddington in Sydney, deep in the heart of kind of busy urban city life, and was seeing a lot of clients who lived in that really kind of fast urban way, as was he, living, working from Double Bay. And we had this chat about the nervous system, and from his perspective and his learnings and understanding, he said something like, he said something along the lines of, if only we operated from a rested, resourced, full nervous system, he said, we have access to so much more within ourselves and just in our lives in general. We have access to so much more power and so much more intuition and so much more creativity and all the things if we have a topped up, juicy nervous system. And yet it's sort of, I guess, can be perceived as a slowdown or a boring aspect of life and self-care to take care of the nervous system, because it requires slowing down. It requires being gentle with yourself. It requires things like eating well, sleeping well, having a bath, taking herbs or whatever you do to take care of yourself. And it really stuck with me. It was like, I think that was a penny drop moment for me, because I was someone who had previously really got a lot of juice out of having this kind of fast, intense life and enjoying that yang energy high of getting things done out in the world. And resting felt a bit dull. And something dropped for me when he said that. I was like, oh, hang on a minute. There's a payoff in it for me. If I deeply take care of myself at that level, then what I have access to in terms of being human and on the planet at this time and going beyond the dimension that I think I have access to, that sounded appealing to me. And we talked about the psoas muscle, and the psoas muscle is commonly called the fight-flight muscle in the body. It's very long muscle. It runs from, I think it starts inside the knee and runs right upside in through your pelvis and out the other side of your pelvis and up your lower back, and connects around about in the where your bra strap is, if you're a person who wears bras, sort of that mid-back thoracic region there. And so what happens with the psoas muscle, it's the muscle that activates us in a fight-flight situation. So if we're sort of, actually, I was sitting around a campfire recently at Vision Quest, and the weather had been torrential rain, and somewhere quite close to the camp, a huge tree branch cracked. And we were all just sitting around sort of making pottery actually and having cups of tea, and we're all very relaxed, and it was dark and there was this massive crack. And immediately the three of us that were sitting there knew what it was. And we got up and out from underneath the tarp that we were sitting under in record time. So the muscle that makes that happen is your psoas muscle. It can get you upright and running in no time at all to save you from something, from a danger. So that's like a really literal physical example of how the psoas activates, but it also, because we're no longer living like that in tribes around fires and where there might be literal physical threats, it also activates in stressful times, like you might have a performance review coming up at work and your nervous system reads that like a branch might fall on your head. It's the same response. And so your psoas muscle goes into activation, into contraction, around anything that might be perceived as fight-flight. And that might be arguments with your partner because you might fear the relationship will end. It might be a rent increase from your landlord, and you might fear that you can no longer afford to live in the home that you live in. Things like that can shake the foundations, can affect the quality and the activity of the psoas muscle. And the thing with the psoas muscle is, let's say it activated by something really specific that happened to you maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. Maybe you had a car accident, maybe you did lose your job, something like that happened, and the psoas goes into like, okay, what do we need to do? It doesn't necessarily soften and release and repair and return back to normal function on its own. And it's not a super easy muscle to get to in terms of stretching it yourself or letting it kind of come back to that normal relaxed state. It's not that easy to get to. It's a deep muscle. And so what can happen is the psoas can then stay activated, stay hard and tight and ready for a really extended period of time. And if you're going through an extended period of stress in any form, then it stays in that form, like ready. Okay, we're ready. And that starts to play havoc in the body. The muscle isn't meant to be that tight and that hard and that ready for that amount of time. The psoas is meant to activate to get you out of danger and then switch off again. But in our cultural existence now and the way we operate our lives now, that doesn't often get that chance to completely return to rest. And that can mean super tight hips, unstable SIJ joints, pain in the lower back. It also, where it connects in the mid-back is also around where the diaphragm muscle connects to your spine. And so if you've got a chronically tight psoas muscle, it can also reduce your lung capacity because it's tightening the diaphragm, which means you're not getting as much oxygen, not getting as much energy, etc. So the flow-on effects from having a stress reaction in the body that then activates the psoas that then isn't taken care of, they can flow on throughout your life. And so that was a bit of a side journey from what I was talking around embodiment, is coming back deeply into your body in a way that feels safe and grounded and centered and nourishing, helps to let your psoas muscle and the other parts of your body know that it's safe. It's safe to be you. It's safe to be in your body. You're safe. And then your nervous system can soften. Heart rate slows down, digestion improves, psoas relaxes. All of these other kind of associated benefits happen. So even during a process like the one that we're entering into now, transformation, and chances are you're already in whatever brought you here, you're already in maybe a stressful or period of upheaval, and that's brought you to join the group. Chances are that's already in process. And so your system's probably already stirring, and there might be varying degrees of stirring. Stirring might sound quite mild compared to what might be happening for you right now. And even in what might end up being an extended process for you, you can still take time to embody, to rest, to reset the nervous system, to downregulate your nervous system so that you can resource yourself in order to then move through the next chapter of whatever process it is that you're currently in. Otherwise, you'll be running on empty tanks. You'll be tapping the deepest levels of your adrenaline stores, the stores that are never meant to be tapped. Adrenaline, if you can imagine it, sort of like a vat or a vase of adrenaline in your body, and there's a certain amount at the top that is there for us to use in short doses and in emergencies, and it's meant to get us through certain situations, and then that's it. It's supposed to be like a short adrenaline, bang, do the thing, and then the adrenaline should top back up. But because of that lifestyle that I've been talking about, or extended periods of stress, it often means that we exist on adrenaline sort of daily. And those stores in the vase of adrenaline are getting tapped and not getting enough time to top back up again. And so then once you get sort of down to the bottom and you're scraping the bottom of the vase, like really tapping your nervous system and your adrenals to just get normal life functions done, there's then this like emergency reserve that's got a big padlock on it, and the body's like, yeah, no, we're just keeping that for later. Once you start to tap into that, you're in real trouble. Your system is in trouble if you're tapping into the deepest reserve tanks of adrenaline. And that's when you start to see adrenal fatigue and burnout But basically the body can't survive without adrenaline. And so if you're getting yourself right to the bottom of the barrel and scraping out the last remnants of adrenaline, the body reads that as a panic state, because without adrenaline, the body will die. So if you're using it all up until there's none, and then you're waiting till an emergency state puts you flat out on your back for 2 weeks so that you can rest, you're really putting your body and your system and your nervous system through a super stressful process of kind of a cycle. And when I spoke to that practitioner in Double Bay, I spoke to him about the psoas muscle. And I said to him, and he'd been in practice many, many years, I said, what's the percentage of your clients that arrive to see you with an activated psoas? And he said, 97%. 97% of his clients in a super busy practice in downtown Double Bay, he'd been there for many years, he was very busy. That's a huge percentage of humans existing from this heightened nervous system, activated psoas, low adrenal stores place. And with my business being in Paddington, which was only a couple of suburbs away, I was seeing the same thing in the clients that came through my business. And I would have said probably something like 99%. Not 97. It was huge, sort of almost an epidemic of living from this hyper-stressed place. And we need resources in order to do the work we're about to do. You need your system to be nourished and to be rested in order to be able to transform. In order to be able to do the inner work that will transform your outer world, you need to be rested, you need to be well fed, you need to sleep well. And so that's why embodiment is the absolute foundation cornerstone for me of any work, anything that you want to do, any form of self-actualization has to start with this base foundational practice. There are many ways to support embodiment. I've just got this one that works in client sessions. So in the resources section of the week 1 module, I'll add in some other suggestions of how to supplement embodiment for you. And then you can just try them out and see what feels good, see what's a yes in your body. Walking barefoot on the grass might be your church, and also you might hate it. So see what works, try out different things, and work out what goes into your personal medicine kit. Basically, throughout this process, you'll be developing and learning and trying different processes that can then end up in your own personal medicine kit. And I sort of like to imagine it like those old-fashioned leather doctor's bags. And so through a process of self-awareness, I can know what works for me when I need it. And I can kind of open my little medicine kit and go, right, I actually need to turn off all technology and go and lie in the sun and, feel the breeze on my skin. I actually need human contact and connection right now. I know this feeling in my body, and I know that what's missing for me is connection. Connection is my medicine right now, and then I can reach out. So for me, that's also an act of empowerment. Self-empowerment is to know what I need at any given moment and give it to myself, rather than sort of flail around and hope that the people around me know what I need and can give it to me, and then get angry if they can't, like a partner or someone like that. And so these embodiment practices can be the first things that end up in your personal medicine kit for you to draw on whenever you need them. So, the other thing I did just before I started today is I looked up the definition of embodiment. I mean, I realize it's quite a, I was going to say new age, not quite the right word. It's a common word in self-development work. So I didn't know what the definition in the kind of more conventional dictionary sense would be. And from embodiment, I went to embodied, and it was beautiful. There's multiple layers of how you can use it in a sentence and ways it can be used. But the one that I loved was to give body to a spirit. And it's like, oh yeah, that's what we're doing. We're nourishing this vessel so it can be a safe, full home for our spirit. So your spirit can fully land and fully reside here. And that's it. It's perfect. So The practice I'm going to talk you through now is like a guided meditation. You don't need to do anything really. You need to be comfortable. You need to be able to close your eyes. Lying down is ideal, but if you're sitting in your car listening to this, you can also just wind the seat back and close your eyes and listen. You don't need to be able to see me. And this process is super simple. It means that you can use it anytime you need it. Whenever you're about to head into, say, a conversation that you're nervous about, or you're about to have that performance review with your boss, or you're not sleeping that well, you could do it at night before bed, or you're noticing that every day is a stressful day at the moment. Every day there's some sense of anxiety running in your system. You could start your day, like before you even get out of bed, you could start with this process. It's simple enough. It doesn't have to take a really long time. And it's a really effective way to deeply connect and embody and ground inside yourself before you then step forward to do what you have to do in the world, or meet another human, or whatever you need to do. You can start from this really embodied, grounded place, and not this kind of fast place where you're not even really fully in yourself in that moment. So let's do it. So starting with your eyes closed and taking some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And really making that out breath out through your mouth, making it like a sigh, like a that you're really kind of letting go on the out breath. And the reason we breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth is it sends a message to the nervous system that we're okay. Because if you were in a panic state, you'd be breathing in and out through your mouth. And that sends a message to your psoas and to your body that you need to get ready to run. So we deliberately go in through the nose, out through the mouth. And it just naturally slows down the breath, which slows down the heart rate, which slows down the nervous system, which slows down the mind activity. It's got very specific physiological flow-on effects if you slow your breath. So in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then just extending your out breath at least one beat longer than your in breath. The amount of beats doesn't matter. It might be 3 beats in and 4 beats out for you. I notice if I'm already a little bit sort of anxious or stressy, my in-breath capacity isn't so great. So it might be 3 beats in on a day where I'm feeling already a little bit stressy. On a day where I'm already feeling a little bit more relaxed, I might be able to do 4 beats on the in-breath and then 5 beats on the out-breath. It doesn't really matter. You're not really aiming for anything in particular other than just to extend your out-breath. And again, that's another little bit of a nervous system hack. That extending of the out-breath sends another message to your nervous system. You're safe. We're safe. We're safe enough to breathe slowly. We're safe enough to trust that our out-breath has some time and space to be full and slow. And just noticing if there's anywhere in your body that softens as you start to relax into that out-breath. Maybe your shoulders can drop a little bit further away from your ears. Maybe your chest can open a little. Maybe your belly can soften. Just noticing what's happening in your body. And then when you feel ready, taking your awareness to the soles of your feet. And just really taking your whole attention and breath and love and presence to the soles of your feet. And noticing any sensation that you feel there now. And this is really not a process where you need to fix anything or change anything or make up stories about anything you do notice. It's just noticing. I can't feel my feet at all right now. Or I can feel inside the soles of my shoes against my feet. I'm really noticing the connection on the skin. Or maybe you've got bare feet and they feel a bit cold. Just observing and going, cool, there's my feet and they feel this. And just keep focusing your awareness and your breath on that, on your feet. If you notice that your mind gets a little sort of busy with something, just coming back to your feet, the soles of your feet. And then when you're ready, expanding that awareness to the tops of your feet and noticing what you notice on the skin on the top of your feet, top of your toes, just observing. And sometimes I find that when I take my awareness and my breath to a particular place in my body, that maybe I didn't think anything was going on there at the moment, it's almost the act of giving it attention starts to make it come alive a little bit. So I start to feel that really subtle cellular kind of aliveness just because I'm noticing. Just observing what's going on. And then taking your awareness to your ankles, the skin, and also the tendons and ligaments and joint, like really kind of taking your breath and your awareness deep into your ankle joint. And just observing and noticing what you notice. And then taking your awareness to your lower legs, front and back, shin and calf, skin, muscle, blood, bone. Filling that area with your awareness and with your presence, with your love. Gently letting your body know that you're listening, you're noticing, you're staying present. And then taking your awareness to your knees and noticing your knees. And maybe it's been a while since you noticed your knees, or maybe you've never asked your knees how they are in this moment. So just really noticing your knees. They do a lot. Noticing. And then taking your awareness to your upper leg, front and back, thighs, quads, hamstrings, adductors, skin, muscle, bone, blood. Noticing this big, powerful area of your body where the psoas lives, where the femoral artery lives, pumping life force around your body. Noticing, sensing. And then taking your awareness into your pelvis, starting with your hip joints, just moving your awareness up into those two big, beautiful joints that hold you up. Noticing the weight of your pelvic girdle. Feel the weight of your bones wherever you're sitting. Noticing the organs that sit within your pelvis, noticing your genitals, noticing your reproductive organs, noticing your digestive system, just noticing what sits inside that pelvic bowl and feeling any sensations that might be there. And some of those sensations may not be comfortable. A lot of emotion can store in the hips and in the belly. And generally it's not comfortable emotion. There's a reason why we hide it away. It's because we avoid wanting to feel the uncomfortable stuff. And it has to sit somewhere. The belly's a really common place. And so we hold. We don't breathe so deeply into the belly because if we keep holding it and don't breathe deeply, then we don't have to feel our feelings. So when you're checking in like this and breathing gently and giving yourself attention and love and presence and listening to your body, the feelings that you maybe have been avoiding feeling might come up. So just be there. Don't look away. Stay present. Keep breathing. You're not going to die from feeling your feelings. Just notice them, feel them. This is a trust-building exercise between you and your body. You're letting your body know that you're watching, you're listening, you're staying present, you're here. And then taking your awareness a little higher to your upper belly, where it starts to meet your rib cage, and then around to the back as well, lower back and thoracic spine there. Noticing the feeling as your ribs move in and out while you breathe. Just observing the sensations there. Sometimes if we've got emotional content going on, it can feel a bit activated in the solar plexus, which is that place right where your ribs meet, still in the soft belly part, just under where your ribs meet there in the center. Just observing, noticing. The solar plexus is actually not an organ, it's a bundle of nerves. It's where a whole bunch of nerves sit and meet. And at a chakra level, the solar plexus chakra relates to personal power. And so it can often become activated or painful or jittery when our personal power is being challenged or questioned by others or by ourselves. I notice mine gets particularly activated when I'm feeling anxious. So just observing, even if it's uncomfortable, feeling what's there. And then expanding your awareness to your entire rib cage, front and back, and everything that's contained within that. So your lungs, spine, heart, and your actual ribs as they move in and out with your breath. Just noticing anything that you notice. Places where there might be contraction, places where there might be ease and openness. Just observing. And then taking your awareness up a little higher to where your collarbones are and where they meet your shoulders, your trap muscles there. Noticing. It's where a lot of tension can store as well. So just observing, seeing if as you breathe and give love to this area, seeing if there's a softening, seeing if there's a shift. And then taking your awareness to your shoulder joints and giving your breath and your presence and your love to your shoulder joints. And then letting your awareness move from your shoulders to your elbows and everything in between. So your whole upper arm, front and back. Between shoulder and elbow, noticing what you notice there. And then moving your awareness to your lower arm, so from your elbow down to wrist, and noticing what you notice there. And then taking your awareness to your hands, starting with your palms. Palms contain a lot of nerve endings, one of the most nerve ending dense parts of your body. And so this might be one of those places that you start to feel some energy there or some tingles there just from bringing your attention. Or not. Just breathing and noticing the skin on the palms of your hands. And then taking your awareness to the backs of your hands. Less nerve endings there, but softer skin. So noticing, can you feel the air touching the skin on the back of your hands? If your hands are face up and they're on your thighs, can you notice the fabric of what you're wearing touching the back of your hands? And then taking your awareness back up now to your throat and neck, including the back of your neck. And tuning in here. This is another area that can hold a lot of tension. It can hold fear. It can hold things that we wish we'd said but never did. So breathing in here gently, noticing what you notice. And if there's sensation or feeling, emotion, history, memories, pain, just be there. Be there with it. Observing it. Keep breathing. And then taking your awareness to your lower jaw, up to where the joint comes close to your ears, the TMJ joint. So from there down your lower jaw and teeth. Another spot that can hold a lot of tension is in that TMJ joint and in the jaw in general. Breathing in there, noticing what you notice. And then taking your awareness up a little to include your upper jaw and teeth and mouth. And also your cheekbones and across to where they meet the ear. So that middle band of your face, including your nose, noticing what's happening there. And then including your ears, including both ears in your awareness right now. The outer ear, the visible part of your ear, and also the deep inner, not visible part of your ear. Giving that your full presence and awareness. And then taking your awareness to your eyes, to your eyeballs, eyelids, eye sockets, eyebrow bone, temple. Sometimes we hold here without even noticing it, just seeing if you can keep breathing and softening the way the muscles are holding onto your eyeballs, seeing if you can imagine a melting, a softening. And then taking your awareness further up to include your forehead, right up from your eyebrows to your hairline, or where your hairline would be if you don't have hair, but that whole front forehead section. And then taking your awareness to your entire scalp, all the way across the top of your head, sides of your head, and down the back of your head. Observing, noticing what you noticed here. And then taking a couple of deeper breaths now in through your nose, filling your belly, stretching your ribs apart a little bit, and sighing on the exhale. Sort of as a way to let your body know that this process is completing now. Doing it slowly and lovingly and gently, not causing a shock. Just gently shifting your breathing. And just before you open your eyes, just notice how your system feels now as compared to how it felt when you started this process. Just observe. See what you see. Feel what you feel. The other thing that is interesting to do just in this learning process of your nervous system and embodiment and what works for you can be really useful to look in the mirror after a process like this. And for me, I really notice a difference in the way my face looks and the way my eyes look. I also often notice a difference in my voice. It's like it drops down and comes from a little deeper inside my body. I notice that in clients as well. Sometimes after the session, their voice is definitely different from the beginning. And that can also be a stress reaction. When there's less blood flow and the throat is constricted, the voice is higher. And so when there's relaxation in the body and in the nervous system, the voice can drop lower. So yeah, it can be an interesting process to sort of observe how does your face look when you're embodied, when you're relaxed? How does it look when you're not? Days that you're feeling anxious or out of body, how does my face look? And you start to really learn what your system needs and what its signals and signs are. It might be that you look in the mirror one morning getting ready for work and you spot the signs of not being fully embodied and you're like, oh wow, I hadn't really noticed. I've been moving so fast that I hadn't stopped to notice, but I can see it on my face. I need to do a quick embodiment practice before I start my day or do my thing. So when you feel ready, just opening your eyes really slowly, coming back into this time and this moment gently. And seeing if you can keep that level of connection and softness in your body with your eyes open. It's easier with your eyes closed, but once your eyes are open and you're connecting with other humans, or you're letting in stimulation and colors and sounds and all sorts of things now coming into your world, seeing if you can still stay here while the world happens around you and comes towards you. So that is something that I would suggest becomes a regular part of your day, week, life, at least for the next 10 weeks of this process, if not beyond, up to you. But with what we're about to do, some of what we'll be doing will be stirring things up. And it's really important to have this foundation to come back to know that you're safe, to come back to your body, so that we can do this other work and do it safely and keep you and your nervous system feeling safe and grounded and solid, even while things might feel less solid in other ways in your life. So this recording will be in the Mighty Networks group, and you can come back to it and just play it. I might even edit it down so that there's a version that is just the meditation, not the pre and post chatty part that I did. And that way you can just play it on your phone, maybe with headphones when you need to, if you prefer to be talked through the process versus just doing it yourself. That might take a couple of days for my VA to do that part, but the full length video will be loaded up in there probably an hour or two after we finish, and you can access that anytime. In the group, you can also ask me any questions. You can also share your experience so that myself and others in the group can witness your experience. And the other thing about that is you might explain what happened for you in a way that really lands for someone else who maybe hadn't been able to find the right words to describe it. And they might go, oh my God, yeah, I had that too. I just didn't know how to say it. So there's an offering when we're in group space. There's an offering in to the others when we share, as well as it being supportive for us and our own process to be witnessed in our own process. So I really encourage you in the group is to share. So just to clarify, it's all written in the introductory parts of the group, but what is shared inside the Emerge group is private. It's only myself and other group members that can see it. At some point, there'll be more group members in the main public kind of brave path part of the group. They'll never be able to see what's going on inside this group. So just to let you know that whatever you share is just within this small private group. So yes, please share with us how that felt for you, and let me know of any questions you might have. And I think that's it. I've allowed an hour for each of these events in the group. They might not always be an hour, but I feel like if there's an hour blocked in all of our calendars, it gives us a little bit of leeway. So if we finish at 45 minutes, that there's just sort of that spaciousness to maybe not have to rush off and do something if you've already blocked out an hour. You might want to sit still with it for a bit, or journal afterwards. Journaling straight afterwards is a pretty good idea. So there is that. So thank you for tuning in, and even if you're watching this afterwards, please do share, and other resources will be loaded up into the module area for week 1 as well. Thank you. Talk soon.